with CQ Simple, returning for our Module 4. And in this module installment, we'll be taking a look at the Clearly Anywhere module. In the previous module, we looked at the CQ devices, which is the way to provision mass numbers of CQ phones for button changes and all that sort of stuff through the phone system. So I would encourage you to watch that. In this case, we're going to be taking a look at how to program, how to assign, and how to deploy mobile apps to users. And this can also work for the Clearly Anywhere desktop app, but we'll focus mainly on the mobile app. The desktop app is similar though. So the desktop and the mobile apps, a lot of the programming is going to be done for you to prepare it to work. If you go under Settings, you'll see Clearly Anywhere. So right off the bat, you should see something that looks a little bit like this. If you're working on a premise system, some of this is going to be up to you, but in terms of a cloud system, CQ will manage all of this. So just a little bit about the interface here. On the right-hand side, you can see how many clients are assigned to your system. These are on a yearly basis for purchase or monthly, but they do come in 12-month increments. So just to keep an eye on that. If you're purchasing them for a premise system, it's a yearly thing. So you're going to see first of all how many licenses you have to distribute, and then it's going to give you assigned, inherited, and I'll talk about what that means in a little bit, and then how many of your total clients are used. So you've got 5 basically to give away. On the left-hand side, you can see some information about your system. You're going to have a URL. CQ will provide that for you. And then you've got your API connection status. CQ will also manage that. If you're working on a premise system, you will need some firewall work done. This port right here, 2267 TCP, needs to be forwarded to the Nimbus if you're doing premise. And that's how the apps provision themselves, program themselves. You've got a location ID. This is useful if you need to add additional apps once you start. You should mention that with any order you place. I need to order, or you're online, ordering 3 more apps, and I want them to put them on this system. Reference your location ID. Subscription active, that's just your 12 months. And desktop is an upgrade. So when you purchase the mobile apps, if you want those users to be able to use the Clearly Anywhere desktop software, that is a system upgrade. So if you do that for your system, anybody with the mobile app can use the desktop app also. And then you have an idea if you're here for how long your 12 months lasts through. Down below, you're going to see how the apps have been distributed. In this case, we have 5, but we have not given any away, so you don't see anything there. The apps are distributed in the user management module. So if we go to admin, user management, I'm going to show you what I like to do. And I like to do this almost regardless of the size of the system. The only time I don't do this is if I'm working maybe 1 app or 2 apps. But even I like to create a different group for mobile apps. So I'll show you first the way I prefer not to do it. And this is to do it on a onesie-twosie sort of a thing. So you can go to a user, say you want to give the app to Sam Spivey. You click the edit button. Make sure that Sam has an email here. Right, that's step 1. When you create extensions, it's going to take the email you use for voicemail to email. So this might already be here. In this case, when I made Sam Spivey, I did not have an email in there. But step 1, go to your users, make sure that they've got an email here. I guess regardless of how you're going to do it, be a group or via 1-by-1, you should have email addresses present. So step 1, figure out who's going to get the app. Step 2, go to user management, make sure you've got the email address for that user here. This can be their work address, this can be their personal address, whatever way it takes to get this to the user. Because what's going to happen here is the system is going to send them an email. And that email is going to have a link. And all they have to do is open that email, on the mobile phone and click the link. That's all they have to do. Well, download the app. You download the app, you open the email, you click the link, and it should do the rest for you. So you can forward this email. Some people don't have their business email on their cell phone. They can forward it to their personal email. Doesn't matter. So make sure that's set. Now, if you're going to do onesies, twosies, which is not my recommendation, you can go to Clearly Anywhere, and you can enable the soft phone. You can turn on recording. You can turn on parking. You can add quick level buttons. So in this case, this is it's almost like giving that person a BLF key, but for the app. So you can add that here. You can even give them access to the call flow control. You can give them access to the parking lot. That's one way where you're doing it a user by user. You're turning the soft phone on for them. If you're doing messaging, if you're doing texting, this is also where you do texting. You would turn the texting on, and then you would give them a number each. For texting, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So you need a DID per user if you want them to text back and forth with customers. So we'll go ahead and leave that off for now. All right, so this would be the example I'll show you what this would look like. So we're going to submit this. We're going to apply it. So, I mean, if I had a system and I only had one mobile app, I might do that. Just do onesies. It's not great for growth. If you think you're going to add mobile apps in the future, it's not my preference. But let me show you what this looks like once you turn it on for one person. So wait for this to reload. Then if you go to Clearly Anywhere, so we have not, okay, so you see Sam Spivey here. This should update. Sometimes this can be a little bit slow to update. This will turn to 1. It should be a 1 assigned user. So you can see Sam has one of our apps, and you can see a green envelope here. That just means that the email for that user is set in user management. So to send Sam a login link, you simply click on his user, and you hit email setup instructions. You're going to see something, message sent. So then all Sam has to do is open up that email on his phone, mobile phone, and click the link, assuming he's downloaded the app already. And it'll, boom, turn his app into the extension. There are videos in our wiki and in the user portal that show users how to use the app. It talks them through how to provision it, so certainly direct them there. If you need to get back, the other thing you can do that sometimes is helpful is you can use a QR code for a user. Sometimes it's hard to get a user an email. So another way to get Sam Spivey provisioned would be to click on this expansion column, go to Settings, go to Provisioning Tokens, and then just click on this QR code for Sam Spivey. That's the same thing. That's the link that will provision his app. So what you can do, grab your, if you're not right by Sam, if you're not right by Sam, if you are by Sam, have him get out his phone and turn his camera on and point it at that, and it'll provision his app for him. If you're not by Sam, get out your snipping tool, snip it, and email that to him and say, hey, point your camera at this QR code, and it'll provision his app for him. I like the QR code. It's a good way to provision an app. And if you've got port 2267 forwarded to the Nimbus, the app should program itself. And I will say sometimes, apps, as all apps, sometimes just need to be reset. Sometimes you have to delete the app, re-download it, and then provision it again, either by QR code or by emailing them the link, whichever works better. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, close this down. I'm going to show you the way I like to do provisioning. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off for Sam. It's kind of a hard name to say. I'm going to switch this back to inherit. It is important to make sure you do have the email there, regardless of if you're going to set it up user by user, or if you're going to create a group, you should have the email address there for the person. So if you go to Clearly Anywhere, you'll notice you have this inherit set. Inherit just means that it's going to take the properties of the group that it's in. If we go back to login details, you can see here's your group, and he's a part of all users. Now typically you don't give a mobile app to every user for Simply Hosted or for the premise Nimbus. Simply Hosted plus every user gets one. So I'm going to go ahead and so I took off the app from Sam. Go ahead and save that. I'm going to show you what I like to do is I like to create a group within User Manager, and I'm going to enable it mobile apps or mobile app user, and then I'm going to put people into that group. It's a much easier thing to manage, taking people out, adding people. That way you can change settings and it affects everybody in the group. You don't necessarily have to go one by one. So the way I do this is I click on the Groups tab, and then right here is kind of the secret step where it says all directories. Change this to PBX internal directory, and then press Add. Okay, so I'm going to give it a name now. Doesn't matter what you call it. Mobile users. Then I'm going to go to Clearly Anywhere, and I'm going to turn this on so you can see right away. Enabling the soft phone group should not exceed your license count of 5. So it knows kind of what's going on here. So I'm going to turn the soft phone on. Recording, server context, I can turn the parking on for everybody. I can set my group level quick dials. So these are like my BLF keys. Okay. These are the buttons that the people see within the Clearly Anywhere app. Emergency rules, I do like to turn this on. That way if the person needs to dial 911 from their app, it uses the cellular network. So emergency number 911, and you should use the cell network. That way get the actual location. Okay, so what we just did is we've turned this on, but we have not put anybody in this group. So if we go back to group details, you've got users, and you can select who you want. Right? So I'm going to put those two people in it, Sam and Mark. Now the only other thing you need to do, two other things. Click and drag this, so it needs to be at the top. Now sometimes you do need to kind of go back into this once you move it and submit it again. It's almost like it needs like a double save. So this is a priority. So that's what happens when you're dragging them. So this is the highest priority. So when you set it to inherit, since apps are part of this group, now that they'll be a mobile app user. So if I go to my user Mark Bogle here, you can see that he's a part of two groups, mobile app users and all users. And what you do want to do, make sure they've got a voicemail, email, and then go to Clearly Anywhere, and you want to enable the group level quick dials. You do want to turn that on. I kind of wish that was set to on by default. That just says use the quick dials set in the group. So go to Sam Spivey, make sure he's got an email, go to Clearly Anywhere, turn on the group level. So now what's going to happen here is as you add users, all you have to do is go to the user and put them in the group. So you just click them in that mobile app users group and it'll add them for you. I find it much easier to maintain a group than to do onesies, twosies, especially over time. So we'll go ahead and save that. And at this point it's very similar to what I showed you previously. You're going to go back to the Clearly Anywhere module. You can highlight users and send emails. I like to send the email from the Clearly Anywhere module. I know that there's a submit and send email user right here. I don't prefer to do that. So I go back to settings, Clearly Anywhere. Okay, so you can see now it's updated. We've got 5 clients. 2 of them are inherited, which means we've used 2 of them. And if you scroll down, there's our 2 users. We've got green envelopes, which means we've got email set. I click them, and then I hit email set of instructions, and the system will send them emails. Or I can use the QR codes. Right? If you remember, Click on this, go to settings, go to provisioning tokens, and these are unique QR codes. So if I click on Mark's QR code, that QR code will provision extension 101. If I click on this QR code, it'll provision 102. You don't change much in the settings there. You go back to status, you can see we still have 3 of them to pass out. But that is the general setup. Most of this is done for you. All you have to do is use user management module to assign the apps, either one by one or to create a group. I prefer to create a group because it's easier moving forward. If you're going to create a group, don't forget to access each user and set the group level quick dial. It's an easy thing to forget, and a lot of complaints, not complaints, but people saying it's not working. You need to set this to yes, enable group level quick dials. Otherwise, the users won't get the quick dials that you set in your group, basically the BLFs. So that concludes the Clearly Anywhere training for the Premise Nimbus or the Simply Hosted solution. Thanks.